Well, hello friends. Welcome to Where's Wilmington. I'm Lisa Kapala-Egan. Did you wake up this morning or maybe last night and open your closet or your dresser drawer and think, I have to do something about this? Too many socks, too many this, too many that. Can't get it shut. Alicia, my guest here, is nodding. We might be able to find a way to help you with some of that overstock. And we're going to talk today about just how that can be done. So next to me is Alica Kabir, and she is the Executive Director of Cradles to Crayons in Massachusetts. Welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. It's so great to be here.
Thank you for coming. So let's just start off with the easy stuff. What is Cradles to Crayons?
Yeah, Cradles to Crayons is a national nonprofit, and we are focused on supporting children in low-income and homeless situations. And we do that simply by making sure they have the clothing essentials they need so that kids can thrive, whether they're at school, whether they're at home, or whether they're at play.
Okay. So one of the big focuses of your organization is clothing, but you do more than just clothing. But let's talk about your giving factory. What might that be? Let's see if she can tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. Our giving factory is the best place on earth, in my opinion, and we are in Newton here in Massachusetts. We're also in Chicago and Philadelphia as well, but I run the Massachusetts operation, and our giving factory here is a 40,000 square foot warehouse where we take clothing from communities like Wilmington, have volunteers help us sort those clothes, check for quality, and then get those items back out to kids in need.
Wow. And I understand that the first giving factory was in Quincy in 2002, long before you came along to the position, right?
That's right. Yeah, we've been around a long time. We've been working really hard to make sure kids have the clothing that they need to feel confident and successful. And right now we are in Newton. We call that our forever home. We've been there about 5 years, and it is just a wonderful place to come and volunteer and be part of our community.
Excellent. Would people from Wilmington be encouraged to come and volunteer at your factory if they're willing?
Absolutely. To volunteer, there's a couple of important things to note. We can take kids as young as 5.
Wow.
So we really love to have families come. We love to have individuals come, and also big corporate groups are always welcome. You can go right to our website, register, and get some more information there.
Okay. So what is the process? We just kind of jokingly talked about overflow of goods that we have in our home. But how does that really work? I bag everything up. And you want gently used items, I would suspect, right? And then what happens?
Yeah, you're right. People across the state have been so generously donating their clothing. So people like you and me, exactly, going through our closets, putting together clothing drives in their communities, through their schools, churches, looking at their own closets. They're putting those items together and dropping them off at bins that we have across the state. So we have 2 bins here in Wilmington at the Avalon Bay properties, and you can also go to Old Navy. And it's simple as that. Drop off your clothing. We then come collect it using our own trucks. We bring it to the giving factory, and then we start to sort it and think about getting that back out to kids in need.
Okay. And you mentioned that word need. Is the need urgent at this time? What's going on? Can you give us a little bit of the climate?
Yeah, the need is urgent, and it continues to be. Our data shows that 1 in 3 children across the state of Massachusetts is at risk of not having the clothing that they need to be confident and successful. That's 1 in 3, which is really hard for me to understand as a citizen of this state. How can that be? But we need to make sure that we are doing everything we can in communities across the state to donate our clothing, to provide other types of support, come in and volunteer, and make sure that these kids have the resources that they need.
Right. And I think it makes sense because I think, this climate we're in, the last maybe 10 years, the whole idea of reuse, of giving back and giving things and reusing them. It's a shift from the way I grew up where you kind of just threw stuff away. But that shift of being able to reuse things and repurpose things, how has that helped your organization to thrive?
Yeah, it's been fundamental to our model and fundamental to our success. Many folks don't realize that there's actually a textile ban here in Massachusetts. So you cannot simply throw your clothes away, your used shoes away. They need to be properly disposed. An average person here in the state will dispose of over 100 pounds of clothing and textiles a year. Wow. So rather than throw that out, please look at the quality of those items, and if there's something that you believe could be reused, bring it to Cradles to Crayons. We will take a look at it, and if it's usable again and it meets our quality standards, we will get that back out to kids.
That is amazing. Let's do some more numbers. I know there are some interesting numbers about what your organization has actually done. And you said Chicago is another location, in Philadelphia, did you
That's
say
right,
as well?
yes.
So overall, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, we continue to grow because the demand is there. And unfortunately, we have more kids who need our items than we can provide. So we are continuing to grow and think about how to reach more children. Here in Massachusetts specifically, we look at what we do in terms of packages. So we do not simply say, here's a sweater or here's a pair of shoes. We give kids essentially a package, and that package might be a week of clothing, or it might be a jacket with a hat and gloves. And here in Massachusetts, we're going to distribute over 400,000 packages this upcoming year. And that is a mix of winter jackets, 75,000 winter jackets. We will provide millions of diapers and wipes for infants, millions of pieces of clothing that get back out to kids in need.
Wow.
But that's really what we do. And again, 400,000 packages is only a fraction of the true need here in Massachusetts.
How are the items distributed? So we start by, I clean my closet out, then I go to Avalon area and I drop my stuff off. Then it comes to your staff and volunteers and you sort it all. How does it actually get to the recipient?
Yeah, it's a great question. We work with nonprofits and school districts across the state to make sure then our items are properly provided to the families in need. Some examples are school districts. Some of the largest school districts in the state come to us and say, hey, you know, I've got these kids in 3rd grade who need clothes, or I've got these teens in high school who need clothes. Other examples are domestic abuse shelters who would have kids in need of clothing as well. So they place orders with us and say, hey, you know, this is the clothing we need. This is a number for a boy, a girl. We also do gender neutral packages. And then they do that online. We place everything into a box for them. And then in some cases they pick it up, and in some cases we deliver to them.
Have you personally ever been able to be at to see the actual donations being distributed? And what's that like?
Yeah, it really is so impactful for the kids who receive our packages. For some of these kids, it may be the only clothes that they're going to own for the next couple of months. Families tell us that offsetting the cost of these clothes so that they can put their money towards meals, rent, insurance, cars, really makes a difference.
Right.
So having these clothes, you can see the joy on the kids' faces. You can see the pride in the parents knowing that their kids are going to feel good in these clothes, that they're able to go to school, that they're able to get on a bus and be successful.
Right, and to feel normal, if there is such a word, to feel not ostracized, not different, to feel just like everybody else.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I love that. Now you say cradles to crayons. Your age group is from what to, I think, age 12 is what I read.
We've recently expanded.
Oh,
so
good.
we are right from newborn all the way up through age 17.
That's good.
And we are now collecting clothes of all sizes. So we want to make sure infants, toddlers, kids, all the way up to teenagers and high schoolers are getting the clothing that they need.
Okay. If there is such a thing, what's a typical day like for you as the executive director of the Massachusetts location?
You're right. Days are not always typical, and I love that.
Right.
We are really focused on awareness and fundraising, so that is a lot of what I do every day, making sure we are out there, making sure people know about our organization, that they're able to financially support us, to provide marketing support and volunteer hours. I'm out in the Giving Factory a lot, seeing our volunteers and making sure we're saying hello and thank you to everyone who comes through. And then, meeting with the community, meeting with our service partners, making sure we understand how best to show up for the families who need us.
And making changes like changing the age from 12 to 17. That's quite a big shift. But it's a need. It's definitely necessary. Right?
It is, and that was driven by family input. We really make sure we're surveying, that we're out listening, that we're doing focus groups, and hearing what is helpful, and that we're making decisions that make sense for the communities right now.
And we all know that fundraising can be a challenge for any nonprofit, but especially for something like this that's so broad-based. You have some fundraisers coming up. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, I appreciate that, yes. Although we rely a lot on donated clothing, we need financial support because, as I mentioned, we buy diapers, we buy wipes, we buy other items that our consumables. So we need to make sure we have financial stability and support and able to purchase those items. So yes, we're always looking for corporate support, foundation support, individual support. But yes, the big things that we have come up, we have our backpackathon that will be on Thursday, August 7th. It's the best day. We are at BU at the Aganis Arena, and we will have over 800 people help us pack backpacks to get ready for the school year. And then we have our Ungala in the November and December timeframe, where you can come to the Giving Factory and volunteer for a little bit, see what's going on firsthand, and then be part of a little bit of financial support as well.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the wish list, because I thought that was really neat too. I would like to volunteer, but I just don't really have a lot of time to do that. But I love what your organization does. Also, you clean your closets probably a couple of times a year, but once that's done, the need is still there, but I may not have anything left to donate. So how can I still be a part of the process?
Yes, the Amazon wish list is a great way to do that. Thank you for pointing that out. You can go to our website and see right there what we need in terms of purchasing items. As I mentioned before, we do a week's worth of clothing, and sometimes we may have enough pants to put in that package, but not enough shirts. So we do our Amazon wish list purchasing to help supplement where we need to, so we could get full packages of clothing out to kids. You can go right to the website and purchase. We always have that updated.
And I assume that's cradlestocrayons.org?
That's right,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Have you talked to the other organization partners, Philadelphia and Chicago, about what the difference is? I'm curious to see what you have learned from the other organizations and what it's like for other parts of our country.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunately hard for families across the country right now. And we work really closely to make sure we're sharing best practices among our operations, that we're really talking about what we're hearing and what we're learning.
Right.
So we are all have a Giving Factory, so you can go in and physically support at all of those locations. It's important to us to also be consistent in the experience of being a volunteer or being a family that we serve. So it's going to look and feel very much the same, with some very nuanced changes based on the geography. But what we know essentially is that we are all in need of more clothing. We all need more volunteers, and we know that there's more families looking to us to step up and help their kids.
Excellent. Is there anything final that you would like to tell our very generous audience today about your organization?
Yeah, well, I'd like to say again, thank you for having me here today and to help raise awareness for Cradles to Crayons and clothing insecurity. I do want to make sure that the audience thinks about how important clothing insecurity is for families. A lot of people think about food insecurity, housing insecurity. Clothing insecurity is another piece of building financial and family stability to help kids and families get out of poverty. So the work we're doing here really is impactful, and coming to the Giving Factory for a 2-hour volunteer shift or sending us the clothes out of your closet makes a difference. And right now, every dollar and every hour truly impacts families at a time when they need us more than ever.
Oh, I love the way you said that. That was so lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy, busy life to come and share this with our community. We really do appreciate it.
Happy to be
and
here.
I hope you have continued success too.
Thank you.
So I'm going to end with this quote. This quote is, "We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give." I didn't make that up. That's Winston Churchill talking, but I really like what he had to say. So just maybe take a minute, look through your closet. Maybe if you want to take a little field trip and go and visit, you can go to Newton and see the Giving Factory so that you can really get involved. Thank you so much for being with us today. Just reminding you that I'm Lisa Kapala, and the next time someone asks you where's Wilmington, you tell them right here and right here on WCTV. We'll see you next time.